Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I am being live from Daytona, Florida, where I've got my Daytona cap, I got my lanyard. I am sunburned to all hell and back, but I had a great time. Um, and to my right is going to be Mr. Zachary Brandevolt. Zach, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm jealous that you got to go to Daytona. And I'm pretty sure that I don't know if you got to see it all, but um, it was pretty awesome to watch on TV. But yeah, I'm here. Happy to talk about racing. Missing Tom a little bit.
Yeah. For those of you who do not know, the reason that our good friend and dear host Tom is not with us tonight, Monday morning he had suffered a pretty big heart attack. He is fine. He is confirmed that he is going to be okay. He will have to do some cardiac rehab the next few days, but he is going to be fine. If you want to know more about his condition, I am going to post a link to that video right now. We're gonna go and see kind of his tale on what happened to him Monday morning. But from all of us here, we are very lucky that Tom's gonna be okay, and we wish him all the best luck and all the and a speedy recovery, but a very restful recovery. That's all worried, man. You had us all worried, but glad you're pulling through. And so yeah, that's why he's not here today. So all of you will send your thoughts and prayers to Tom and his family. It'd be much appreciated.
Yes, please keep him in your prayers. And Tom, I know you're probably watching. Can't wait to have you back. So don't rush. Your podcast is in good hands for now. We won't screw up too much while you're gone. I know you are our anchor. So rest up, get well, and we'll be excited to have you back.
Absolutely, man. I'll get well soon, and don't rush it. All right, so with that said, we will move on to the Daytona race review. Kind of the major storylines from the Xfinity race at Daytona. Coming into the race, rain was going to be a major factor as the race was delayed hours. I believe about 3 hours. I guess before the initial start of the race, which was at 7:30, it got pushed back to 10:30 at night, which is insane. But once the track got cleared off, and once Mother Nature decided that she had held up NASCAR for too long, the race just turned into a very typical speedway race in this era of stage racing. 1 and 2 had a few notable events. I guess the hero from last week was it Sammy Smith. Apparently he got wrecked out early. He'd been fighting a loose race car all day long. Hit the wall on stage 1. Stage 2, really nothing of note besides Riley Herbst spinning it into the infield of the backstretch. Somehow saved it. Don't know how, but he didn't. Then stage 3, it just went to complete and total chaos. I put in our notes here. Stage 3 turned into a representation of Interstate 4 here in Florida, where it's just total chaos and just pray to your God or gods that you make it through. But at the end of the race, it is Jeremy Clements, of all people, to score his first win since 2017, 4 years ago. He has been on a winless streak, but he gets it done at Daytona. He is the first man to survive. But if you're looking for him in your playoff grid, don't look too hard because he will not be joining. It was revealed earlier this afternoon that NASCAR has found a intake manifold piece was not properly secured or not properly in place, and NASCAR does not like engine modifications whatsoever. And so he has been removed from the playoff grid. He still keeps his win. He still keeps it. It will go down in the record books as him winning the race. But he will not compete for the playoffs as of yet. He's still got 3 more tries to try to get into the playoff field. But that's pretty much all I got. It's just typical plate racing. Zach, do you have any more comments on the Xfinity race?
No, I just I was so excited when Jeremy Clements won and after all that hard work and avoiding the wrecks to get it DQ'd because of something like that. I mean, it's the team's fault, but I still feel bad for him. You know, it's hard for smaller teams to consistently produce, especially, you know, teams that, you know, you part own as well. You're putting your blood, sweat, and tears in, and yeah, not a good move by them, but also, you know, I feel bad for him a little bit. But no, I thought it was a good race. Sucks that they delayed it as long as they did. Because I didn't get a chance to really watch it, to be honest with you. And I don't know. I guess this really has no effect on the playoffs. You know, if we did, then we would see Ryan Sieg and Landon Castle battle it out for the final playoff spot. Only 15 points separating them. So I think that would have been an interesting story had it did happen. Maybe the team can appeal. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I mean, I feel like they can appeal it all they want to, but NASCAR does not like you modifying 2 things: the body and the engine. They do not like it when it's those 2 things, and they modified the engine. I mean, it could have been just the slightest of infractions. It does not matter. You broke the rules, you will be punished. But as Tom from the hospital saying a little inconsistent there, they let Clemens keep the win for legal part, but they DQ'd the JR drivers and get the win to Elliott, all for a piece of tape.
Exactly. I agree. They were really inconsistent here, which is confusing because Timmy Hill would have gotten the win. I don't know if that would have locked him in the playoffs because I don't know if he races in the Xfinity Series full time.
Probably not. I mean, there's only a handful of full-time Xfinity drivers.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, either Jeremy Clemens or Timmy Hill gets the win, it's still going to be a feel-good story for both those teams, for both those guys, because Jeremy Clemens and Timmy Hill are both respectable drivers, good people, and just trying to do whatever they can to try and get a leg on the competition and sometimes get caught. So
exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, the same goes in NASCAR. If you ain't cheating, you ain't winning. Everyone does it.
This is true.
But with that, we will move on to the Cup race at Daytona, which was a little more action-packed.
A little bit.
A little bit. And so to start off, the night race at Daytona will not be a night race. It'll be a morning race. Rain was coming down, and it was not going to stop the entirety of Saturday night. So NASCAR just did the wise thing and just said, screw it, we'll just do it Sunday morning when we have a better window of opportunity. And they did. I mean, again, just kind of like any usual super speedway race, organized chaos for the first 2 segments, and then it just turns into a representation of I-4 again in the closing laps. But very interesting happens in the Cup race. If you did not catch this, or NASCAR or NASCAR on NBC or USA, whatever, didn't say this quite enough, Kurt Busch has revoked his waiver to join the first round of the playoffs, which means more likely he will not be back in the first round of the playoffs, or he's not back for the rest of the season. We don't know. But this opens up the opportunity for Truex to seal that 16th spot if he can just survive and a new winner is not crowned. Ryan Blaney, all he has to do is just survive, and he's in. It'd be a lot harder than it has to be. Blaney and Truex end up getting into separate wrecks. Blaney had a majority of the damage. Truex damage to his front. It'd be harder for them to get into. But two big ones in the race. One nearly sent Briscoe up in the air, which I was actually in front of that wreck. I was going to record it, but the second I put away my phone to try and record it, that's when something happens on my end of the track. So thanks guys, appreciate it. Every other wreck was like in the backstretch or turn 1 and turn 2, nothing in my area. So I decided just not film one lap of it, and that's when something happens. So great, that's just my luck for you. But the other one, we will get to later. But apparently, a quote unquote sudden rain shower had come in on turn 1, which wiped out everybody in contention in one fell swoop. Austin Dillon was literally the luckiest man in Daytona, as he just squeaked by. And at the end of the day, he was able to get into victory lane with no hiccups this time, as he will seal the deal and get himself into the playoffs, locking up that last spot. Blaney will squeak in by just 3 whole points. And so that will leave Truex as the last man out. He is going to be officially knocked out of the playoffs. And that just sucks. But he had plenty of opportunities to get it done, and he just hasn't. So, Zach, what are your thoughts on the Cup Series race at Daytona?
Short summary. What a mess. Honestly, what a freaking mess. One thing I think NASCAR did do right was they called it early on Saturday and decided to start very early on Sunday. They knew that it was going to take a big hit of their fan base, and a lot of them probably wouldn't be able to watch and tune in at that normal time. But I think they did the right thing. Instead of waiting it out and trying to get 1 a.m., 2 a.m. finish time, starting out early on Sunday and trying to get that window right. Everything else about this race, extremely disappointed in NASCAR, to be honest with you. But let's go down the list and let's talk about the big storylines. So, like you said, a lot of rain. That's why they had to start it Sunday morning. They started on CNBC 10 a.m. The viewership ratings came in only like 1.5 million people tuned in, which was abysmal. I mean, absolutely terrible. I mean, you're averaging like 3 million on the season, 2 million, over 2.5 to 3 million. So definitely disappointing on the ratings department. Obviously, you can't really read too much into that because of the rain. But yes, storyline heading into it. Kurt Busch gives up his waiver eligibility, which allows 2 playoff spots. So going into the race, Truex and Blaney both were locked in. One thing that I was very, 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 very confused on is the fact that why in the heck was Ryan Blaney running up front trying to get stage points when he did not need them?
I don't know.
He had enough of a points cushion where all he needed pretty much to do was to finish in the top 20 and he would advance. But yet here we are talking about him getting wrecked stage 1 and being 6 laps down for the majority of the race. I mean, he was out of the playoffs for almost all of this race. I think it was pretty ridiculous. Truex got 15 points due to stage points, but even that wasn't really going to be enough for him. He really needed to finish way ahead of him. He needed an accident like Blaney did, and Blaney almost took him out of the playoffs. I mean, pretty ridiculous. I don't know what his strategy was. He did not need to be fighting for playoff points or anything like that. But yet here we are talking about that, and it really could have went south for him. Truex was also involved in a wreck, which really didn't help him, but ultimately Truex was still trending in, regardless. So yeah, definitely idiotic move, I think, by that team. And then we got that big crash that took out the entire field because of rain. And I have several thoughts on that. NASCAR's big comment after the race was, or after the big one, was, I don't think we could have done any better. Well, for first off, that isn't true.
No.
I learned from other podcasts, I think Door Bumper Clear, they didn't have anybody in turn one to relay the weather information. So there's one thing that you could have done, right?
Wait. They had nobody in turn one.
They had nobody relaying the weather information in turn one. They had somebody in turn two. They didn't have anybody in turn one. Well, I mean, I guess it's one big one, but they had one at the exit of two.
What?
And not to mention that people were screaming over the radio for 3/4 of a lap that it was raining. 3/4 of a lap, potentially more. I know that 31 team, his spotter, he said it a lap before it happened that it was coming up on them fast, and he felt some drops. So fast forward, you get that big wreck because one, there's nobody relaying that information. I mean, you I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but they should have a cameraman out there, right?
Yeah.
In turn one, they could have relayed that information. You had the spotters that were saying that information. You had the drivers saying it. So many people were trying or were saying that, and they monitored the radios, right? They monitor the drivers' radios for that kind of information. You know it's headed into that turn. You know you have a short window right there, and yet it still happens. I mean, I think this was disastrous for NASCAR when you look at it and how big and massive these hits were. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to in-car radio of like Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, some of those guys. They were like moaning and groaning after getting hit, and that was like massive hits. I mean, just massive. I'm surprised nobody was able, all of them were able to, walk out of this after it happened. So pretty crazy to me. Technology has gotten so advanced to the point where you could put moisture testers around the track and within a certain radius, and you could get that information pretty much when it happens. If it starts raining, let's say put it like in the parking lot somewhere, right? And if it starts raining, you will be able to know. So I don't think there's any real excuse as to why this should have happened. I think NASCAR needs to change the rules regarding their rain when it's raining. They need to change the rules about how that's handled, because in 3 separate years, Texas 2020, you had New Hampshire 2021, and now Daytona 2022, have all had issues where leaders have wrecked out because of rain issues on the track. And nothing has really been done about that. So it needs to be fixed, needs to be addressed. And there's definitely something you could do better as a sport, in my opinion. But yeah, I think after all of that, and it rained for 3 hours, it's not normal for that type of stuff to happen. It rains 3 hours and you don't call it after with only like 21 laps left, right? Wouldn't you agree with me in saying that it's not normal for after it starts raining with only like 21 laps left, they typically call the race, right?
Typically, but that is if they can't fit the race into the window. I mean, you have to remember NASCAR had all day to get this race in. I mean, if it's on like a Monday night or something, they couldn't finish it. They'll usually call it. If it's on like a Sunday night and there's no lights at the track, they'll call it. I mean, they've kind of been consistent in that regard. But Daytona had lights. It was on a Sunday afternoon. They had all day to do it. They could have even stretched it to Monday if they really needed it to.
Yeah.
But just the weight implications of what was on the line, there was maybe a slight doubt they would try and call it if the rain would keep up literally all day and have no chance to try and drive the track.
Well, they were lucky. They were lucky that they got a window, and that's what I'll say. I think that NASCAR was going to hold out regardless because they needed something to wipe away that stain, that mistake of not calling a caution to begin with. So they're going to start it anyway. However, I think it ultimately looked worse on them only having basically Austin Dillon, Reddick, and Cindric running for the win, and then you had a bunch of Rick Ware racing cars and BJ McLeod car up there, and then injured Kyle Busch, injured Martin Truex Jr. You know, when you look at it,
injured everybody.
I think
everybody was injured.
When I saw them coming to the green, I was like, we literally have like 15 cars on track.
Yeah, basically,
which is ridiculous. And then half of them are
probably fewer than that.
Half of them are like dropping 12. To the half of them are dropping to the back because they're damaged and they can't keep up, barely making minimum speed. And so you have several Rick Ware racing cars, BJ McLeod, and I can't remember who else. Landon Castle, thank you. All fighting for the win that typically are not anywhere near the lead in any race whatsoever. So
I mean, look,
I think it ultimately.
I know it's Daytona. I know it's anybody's race, but if Cody Ware had a chance to win the race, you know something screwy happened.
He did. He had a chance to win the race too. He really did. He had a teammate behind him, another Ford behind him. I forget, there was some. BJ McLeod. He was all three of those Fords. Yeah. They were fast too. They caught up to the pack. I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, fast in regards to an injured Austin
Dillon, yes, injured
but I'm just saying, injured Martin Truex.
But yeah, I mean, let's just put it down as it is. You had 3 cars that were pretty much not damaged, and that was Dillon, Reddick, and Cindric fighting it out.
No, man, I'm pretty sure even Dillon had damage on his car.
They had damage, but it wasn't to the extent of like Martin Truex Jr. or Bubba Wallace or anything like that, or Ryan Blaney.
Still damage.
They had all their fenders on. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
But pretty ridiculous in my opinion, and I think it actually looked worse in my opinion for them to finish it out like they did than just to call it and say, yeah, we fucked up. But oh well, we live and we learn. Hopefully they learn from this mistake and several years prior to address these types of issues.
But I mean, honestly, just from me being there and having to sit through hours and hours and hours of rain, I was just hoping that they would at least finish it. Just for the fans who decided to stick it out, to come back to the track.
How many fans were there? Still there?
Like barely any.
Okay. Could you guess?
Barely any.
Like,
I couldn't take a reasonable guess, but
like what? Like 1/5 of the amount of people that are normally at it?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I mean, on Saturday night, I could barely get around the fan zone at Daytona without bumping into somebody. But on Sunday afternoon, I could walk around fairly easily.
Were any of the concession stands open or anything like that?
Oh yeah, they were, and they were awful. But that's just me.
All right. Well, yeah, I think I've said enough on that. I think it's time to move on to news. What you think?
I think we need to.
All right. So our first news story, we kind of already a little bit elaborated on this. Kurt Busch, excuse me, who missed the start of the playoffs, seemingly is withdrawing his waiver request to remain playoff eligible. So he gave up his spot in the playoffs, specifically in driver points, not owners points. What are your thoughts on this, Aaron?
I think this is a sign that Kurt Busch is probably done for the season. I mean, at this point, you're not really racing for much. You're just kind of out there to try and at least get one more win to seal off the season. But at that point, that's really all you're fighting for. Worst case scenario, I think this is the first sign that he may retire from this. That he may retire from the sport if he's been out for this long and still hasn't came back yet, and even give up his spot for a chase for a championship when he looks like he could probably go or make a deep run at best. This is probably a bad sign for Kurt Busch, and I really hope it isn't. I hope that I'm looking way too deep into this, but this could be the first sign of he may be gone next year. But that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you might be right. I'm leaning towards that as well. I mean, I've been saying that he probably is going to come back on a part-time basis. I mean, he's missed this long. It's hard for me to think that I don't know. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to guess what he thinks. For me personally, it's hard for me to see him coming back after all of this on a full-time basis, especially with kind of how things are playing out in the driver market right now as well. However, I would love to see him back in the car next year and the car this year as well, regardless of how many races that he runs. I think it would be a positive to see him back in the car, especially this season. That's also another thing. First time the playoff history that a member of the original playoffs hasn't made it in, which is a key tidbit.
Yep.
But one thing I will say is this affects the 12 and the 19. 45 is still in the owner's points championship, meaning the lowest it can finish is 16th in the owner's points, and that is how the teams get paid. So you have charter values and the averages and blah 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 blah. I'm not going to pretend to understand it all because it's a little bit complicated, but basically that's how the teams get paid. And so the 12 and the 19 can only finish as high as 17th in the owners championship, which severely reduces the amount of money that they're going to be able to earn for the year, regardless of how far the 12 makes it in the playoffs. He won't be eligible to go past any further in the owners points, which is pretty surprising. And when you think about it, the 19 team has made the playoffs, made the championship has been top 4 in owners points for quite a while, at least 3 years, which significantly increases the value of the charter. So you got to think that this is going to be a blemish on for both of these guys. So we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, that's pretty interesting to note as well. Do you have any thoughts on that, Aaron?
Not from my point of view.
Okay. So we had the Ryan Blaney news. Penske contract negotiation, multi-year, didn't give us a year. Now Joey Logano and Penske agreed to a multi-year contract extension. What are your thoughts on this, Aaron?
Again, much like with Ryan Blaney, I'm not surprised. I mean, Joey Logano, your 2018 champion, he's still consistent, still winning races, still up there in championship level threat. Not really too surprised. I still wish it would give us more of a defined term on what multi-year means. But yeah, probably NASCAR just loves to kind of do that with us. Like he's like, hey, here's a multi-year contract for them, which could mean 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. We don't know. But I kind of wish they'd be more consistent with that. But as for Joey Logano and Team Penske contract signing, again, not too surprised.
Yeah. I also think this is a good move. He's done really well. Arguably, Penske's not really. I mean, I wouldn't say really arguably, but I will say it for the sake of saying it. Arguably, Penske's best driver right now in the past couple seasons. I think this contract extension makes sense. You want to keep your star driver, Joey Logano, right now. You want to keep some continuity. So I like this move. And, multi-year, doesn't have to worry about it. Not in the back of his mind. He's racing for a contract. So get it out of the way here. And going back to the finish of Sunday, if Ryan Blaney didn't make the playoffs, I think that contract extension, in my opinion, may have been viewed as a little bit premature. But he gets in thanks to Kurt Busch backing out, not being able to run, and I think it makes it a little bit more palatable for Penske, in my opinion. But
I
go ahead.
still kind of think that even if Blaney didn't make the playoffs, they would still keep him around.
I mean, yeah, but when you look at it, he hasn't gotten that win. He hasn't gotten the win. We had 16 drivers, different winners this season, right? He's not one of them. That's crazy to me. He's had his chances. He's been consistent.
Martin Truex Jr. He did, Bubba Wallace who's had a few shots.
Yeah, same thing.
It happened to a lot of guys this year, and that's just kind of with the parity. You see some guys rise to the top. You see some guys fall. I mean, everything balances out.
But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think it's to me. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's a I don't know, bit premature, but it's definitely different feeling if he doesn't make the playoffs. Having signed that contract extension. I mean, I think it would have been talked about a little bit more as well, but
yeah, probably. But Blaney's still a young.
I think he's a good driver, and I think he has a lot to learn and continue to improve. It's just, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in this playoffs. I think it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds for him, because I think that he's strong enough to make the Final Four, in my opinion. He needs to break through and get that win, get the monkey off his back, so to speak, and get that win, so that way it's able to unfold for him a little bit better than it has this season. So, I mean,
he's wanting to pull off like a Tony Stewart thing and just win like 5 of the next 10 races.
Yeah, I mean, he's not in a bad position in the playoffs either. I think he's like 8th, and like he's at 2015 points, so somewhere around there, and so it's not bad. I mean, definitely helped. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s mansion is broken into by members of the Moorish Nation. I read about this. It was really interesting and weird. Apparently, they think the land is theirs, like their original homeland or whatever. But they were arrested. So, what are your thoughts on this, Aaron?
What the hell? I don't know how people in the Moorish Nation can get the idea that they can just excuse all property values and rest of the land just because they want to squat there. I just call them squatters. But I mean, I just wanted to see Stenhouse's face when he like first sees these two people in his house, just saying, "Oh yeah, this is my house now." I just wanted to see his reaction, to see his face. He's probably thinking, "What the hell? No, it's not. Get the F off my property."
Exactly. It's just weird to me. I'm glad everything worked out okay. I hope they didn't take anything or steal anything, but
also
definitely weird.
$16 million mansion.
Yeah, I looked at the pictures. Man, that thing is insane. I mean, it rivals Tony Stewart's mansion. A little bit less so, but it definitely is around the same stuff. Just pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, I posted the link of the news story here, but good Lord.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move along. Eric Almirola is coming back. Pulls a Tom Brady, Brett Favre. Mark Martin is going to be driving for SHR in a multi-year extension. So he's going to be racing for more than 1 year at SHR when we thought he was going to be retiring after this year. So no 1-year deal for him. He's coming back for 2 years at least with Smithfield, who's actually expanding their partnership reportedly back to what it was a couple years ago when they sponsored the majority of the races. What are your thoughts on this, Aaron?
I was gonna say Mark Martin has gotten a lot younger, hasn't he? He's really done some work with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, all jokes aside, honestly, it's great to hear that Eric's coming back. Very likable guy, just like with Clemens and Landon Castle and all them. Likable guy, but man, that was a that was sure a 180 saying, yeah, I'm going to retire this year too. I'm coming back for I'm coming back for multiple years. The bug hasn't gone out of me yet, but yeah, at least we now know kind of what the fate is for Eric Almirola in Smithfield to just finally get that drama story out of here to just be done and resolved with, because it seems
Not
like
a Kyle Busch destination. Thank God.
nope.
We finally figured that out.
Now it's time for new rumors for Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
for
that.
Rich Stones Racing, you're calling, because apparently those are the 2 new seats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see it as great for Eric Almirola and Storehouse Racing, because I think Smithfield said they're going to amp up their sponsorship obligations to where they were back in 2018.
Yep.
Where they're sponsoring 2 cars every few races or so.
Yeah, they sponsored the majority of the races from Almirola in 2018. So yeah, I guess
we're making bank.
I think this is good. Eric Almirola coming back. Always good to see. I'm always a big fan of Eric Almirola. Definitely just a long wait for that. I respect his decision, but good Lord, that was a long time. Yeah. And honestly, when you look at it, apparently Smithfield wanted to stay in the sport. So I feel like they were going to sponsor somebody regardless. But if you can get Eric Almirola back, spokesperson, multiple years, and SHR doesn't have to foot the bill, I think that's a win-win for literally everyone. So good for them. Good for them.
Win-win for everybody except for Kyle Busch, because now that's one less ride he's going to have to worry about.
Yeah. At least we narrow down the decision making here. Our next news story: Austin Dillon may have won the race, but these 2 guys made out like a bandit after Daytona. A guy of the name Jason Fellenbaum turned $10 into $70.5 grand thanks to Daytona, and somebody else placed a $13 bet, which turned into a near $1 million payday. I saw this on Twitter actually before you put it in the agenda, and I was super jealous because I think this is like a one in a lifetime opportunity. You had like the perfect storm of events that would happen that would place all those guys. I think they both had the same 3 guys. It was, I think, Landon Castle, yep, Cody Ware, and
BJ McLeod.
Was it BJ McLeod?
Yeah, Cody Ware, BJ McLeod, and Landon Castle for all 3.
Okay. And then the other guy had David Reagan.
David Reagan, yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. I really wish I did this. I really do wish I did this, because hindsight, I probably would have made this bet beforehand too. But I didn't. So I'm not a millionaire, unfortunately. No. Probably.
And honestly, probably after taxes and all that, it would probably be brought down to like 6 or 500,000. But hey, whatever. Hey,
that's life-changing money.
Out of $13.5.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
That's life-changing money.
Yes, it is. That's what we can get away.
But anyway, That is the news for this week.
And all it took was a NASCAR screw up.
Literally
the entire field wrecking.
Actually, one thing I wanted to add, I think we should talk about, is that both Colleague and RCR both confirmed that they've talked with Kyle Busch. And I don't know if you saw the interview with Haley where they asked him directly, how cool would it be if you had Kyle Busch as a teammate? He kind of smirked. And he's like, I think it would be cool. And then like looked away. Yeah, I think something's seriously going down in the Chevy camp. So that's definitely something to watch. The fact that they both confirmed it at this point, I think everyone knew it was happening. It's just a matter of time. But hey, it's exciting. I want to see where he lands, really do. Colleague and RCR are both like really interesting teams, and two of the most likely teams, in my opinion, where he's probably going to land, because at this point there's not many options left. But RCR needs to get rid of Tyler Reddick if they were going to do that. So, with that connection of maybe Kurt Busch retiring, maybe Tyler Reddick goes there a year early and then they get Kyle Busch. I don't know. Because I would say arguably that Kyle Busch is overall a better driver than Tyler Reddick right now. And I don't think that's you can easily argue against that. He might have the wins this season, but who would you rather have right now? I would definitely say Kyle Busch. But in the years to come, I don't think I don't think that Reddick is, I think Reddick is going to be a champion. So, definitely he's losing out. If RCR does this, he's losing out on a generational talent. But, getting Kyle Busch for how many ever years, and having, potentially that truck team as a pipeline, not a bad scenario for RCR, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the news for this week.
Honestly, a lot of news coming out of Daytona, and hopefully more news to come in the following weeks. But now we will get to who's hot and who is not. I will go ahead and go first.
Go ahead.
Who was hot this week? Daytona in August is hot. I am still burnt like a lobster. My arms are still red. My legs are still red. My neck is still red. My shirt is red. Everything is red about me. I had to basically chug down about three big old cups of lemonade at Daytona just to keep myself hydrated. And of course I had to buy about 3 more bottles of water just to always pour myself to get the sweat off. But Daytona in August is hot. It just was, especially in the sun. I was thankful to God for cloud cover over the track, just saying, "Oh, thank you, just a break from the sun." And for my who's hot or who's not this week, NASCAR and them just learning lessons from past, for some reason, does not mix. You were slammed into last year at Loudon for letting them race when it was obviously raining, for everybody in the world to see it except for the guys who make the calls. I don't know why you didn't do it again, but for some ungodly reason you did. And what's worse is that this is not just a flat 1 mile or 1.5 mile oval where speeds are relatively slower. This is a 1.5 track or 2.5 mile track where speeds are at least 170, 180 miles an hour going into a high banked wall where everybody's near each other. That is unexcusable. That is completely unexcusable. I don't care what you say. That could have hurt somebody. I mean, you saw what happened to Kurt Busch at Pocono. Just one tap to the back, and he's going to coach, and he's possibly out for the season. And you're letting guys go 180 miles an hour into a 33-degree bank turn when they're all close to each other. That is completely unexcusable. I don't care what you say. So NASCAR for not learning their lesson again this week. Just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely boggles my mind.
I don't disagree with you there. As far as my who's hot, who's not, I am going to go with who's hot, Austin Dillon. Obviously, he wins his way into the playoffs. Gets the win when he needs it the most. He holds the 6th best average finish over the past 6 races with 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. He also holds the worst starting position out of that group with, I think, around 19th average starting position. So not great for him in qualifying, but he shows up in the race, at least the past 6. As far as my who's not, I am doubling down. So last week I picked Ross Chastain. This week I'm picking Ross Chastain. He has a worse average finish in the past 6 races than Cody Ware. He is the lowest driver in the average finish out of anybody in the Cup Series that has run full time in the past 6 races. I think that says enough about it. Cody Ware has a 24.3 average finish to Ross Chastain's 25.8. He has only one top 20 in 6 races. So not good at all. Especially heading to the playoffs, not having a good start. I think momentum is everything when you get there, and not looking good for him, especially at a track where he did not finish well in earlier this season. So yeah, definitely one to watch. Especially he has pretty much the entire deck stacked against him, in my opinion. All the playoff drivers are mad at him, and some non-playoff drivers are mad at him. He hasn't done well recently, so he doesn't have that momentum that other drivers do. And he's coming to a track where he is finished. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Where did he finish? I think I missed it. Oh, 30th. There you go. 30th earlier this year. So, yeah, not great. I really don't trust him at Bristol as much. And then in the final race of the first round, or I'm sorry, Kansas is next. I think he could maybe do well at Kansas, but not looking like a good round for him, especially with a target on his back. So, yeah, that's my who's hot, who's not this week.
Oh, gosh, Chastain, what the hell happened to you? I mean, think about 10 weeks ago, we were claiming that he's going to be a championship contender. Now he has a worse finish than Ross Chastain. I mean, did we jinx him?
I don't know.
Did we jinx him? What happened?
I think he screwed himself over a couple times, and also he just hasn't done well. When you look at Watkins Glen and you look at Daniel Suarez and how he finished, there's no reason to think that Ross Chastain could not have finished in top 5, at least the top 10.
I mean, there's doing bad, and then there's finishing with a worse average finish than Cody Ware.
And it's not even close. It's by position, and then some. So, yeah,
Jesus.
Not good. And don't forget that this has also dropped him in the point standings. Remember, earlier this year, he was second in the points, and coming into I can't look at it now, but he's third now. So he I don't think he earned any bonus playoff points for being in the top 3. Definitely, I don't think he was in the top 3. So, yeah, not good. He gets his 2 wins, which get him 10, and then 4 stage wins, which get him, 4 points? So that's 14. So somehow he got 6 other points.
Yeah, somehow. But still, That is... Oof. That is awful. And so now we will officially move on to my favorite segment of the show. It's going to be green flag or red flag with me, your host, Judge Aaron, at the helm. For those of you who are new to the show, we do about 3 or 4 statements or questions relating to this week's topics, and probably proceeding into next week, where we will give our opinions, see whether we agree with them, which is a green flag, or disagree, which is a red flag. And folks at home, we do encourage you to play along in the comment section, and please tell us why you think this way, because we like to know these things. See how you think. But to start off, green flag or red flag, number 1 of the night. Should NASCAR throw the red flag if there is a rain shower near the track? Green flag or red flag, Zach? What do you think?
I don't think if there's rain, I don't know. This is complicated. I don't think if it's rain near the track, it needs to be on the track. I just think that there's better technology available for them to understand it a lot better than what they do now. You know, throwing it for the threat of rain, because it's near the track, um, it would be a lot worse, in my opinion, because it's very, very, very subjective. I mean, I get it. There's rain or not, but is it too close, or is it too far away to, is it too far away to race, or is it far enough away that we can race, or is it too close that we can't race? Like that's very subjective to me. I think that you set a boundary, utilize technology. I mean, NASCAR is big now into technology that it's very easy for them to implement these new systems that can help them not only predict where it's going to go, but actually see when it's actually raining. So I don't know. I think I think red flag. I don't think that it's too subjective for me.
Okay. And I will also have to go red flag. I think that if they're going to do anything kind of like what I said, just kind of throw like the yellow or red flag, see if there's a rain shower anywhere near the track, I would potentially go with a yellow flag situation, just so that nothing like this happens again. Because like you said, Zach, 3 races have already been decided by NASCAR failing to call the race when there's obviously rain on the track. That is 3 times too many, especially
Yeah.
with these kind of stock cars that are going on. I think Daytona was the final straw for me. So I'm going to say red flag. You shouldn't throw a red flag, but there needs to be a rule, something like this in place, like we throw a yellow flag or something. If there's rain within like a 2-mile radius around the track or something, just something like that. If NASCAR cannot implement rain tires, then throw a red flag if it's like within 2 miles or so. But that's just me because unlike IndyCar, unlike Formula One, unlike every other style of racing around the world, NASCAR is not immune to the rain. They're not. And I don't know why NASCAR keeps having this problem, but they do. And if they're going to keep having this problem, then there needs to be some sort of rule in place. And so I feel like they shouldn't throw a red flag, but they need to throw some sort of flag if there's a shower anywhere near them, if they're not going to be able to fix this problem.
Yeah, they need to definitely do something. I just don't think that throwing the red flag if there's near the track is the right call, in my opinion. I agree.
Okay. And so on the note of rule changes that NASCAR should probably implement, here's one. Should NASCAR institute a rule that doesn't force a race to be finished at a late hour? For example, going back to the Xfinity race Saturday night, it didn't end until 1:30 in the morning on Saturday. 1:30 in the morning, when nobody's going to be up that late. Green flag or red flag, Zach? What do you think on this?
So other series do this as well. So like for instance, Formula One, they have like a 4-hour when it just really depends. A window of getting the race in, and if not, then it's called at whatever time, right? So then it becomes a timed race. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to make a decision. I would say green flag. I mean, definitely we don't want to see races go too early in the morning, especially on Sunday. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really on the fence with this one. I mean, if we end up racing till 1:30 in the morning, I mean, we do, but at the same time, I think maybe it would. But I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna go with green flag and just say, yeah, I think we should implement like a time limit. Maybe I think that would help.
Okay, not a bad idea. Oh, also, I did forget to, after I just said it, Show some of the comments from the previous question, which was right here. Throw a red flag. Got one right here. This says no. Red flag. Be racers. Thank you, Mark. My core is saying depends on the distance, 5 miles or half a mile. Then yes, here we go. Red flag. Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably like 2 miles will give you a good indication of whether or not the rain's going to hit the track or not. But that's just me. But as for the second question, I would absolutely say green flag, just because. I mean, look, I love NASCAR. I've watched it ever since I was just a little kid. I mean, but for the love of God, don't end it at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how many people will have to kind of miss work in the morning to watch a NASCAR race, or have to say, you know what, I don't want to miss a race, but I've got to work in the morning. I got to put food on the table. And so, sorry, no, I'm tuning off. And that leads to a decrease in viewers. And to be fair, NASCAR had, again, kind of the same scenario as Cup Series. They had a majority of the day Saturday to try and get this race in. And why not just go that route? Just have it on Saturday morning, and then the Cup Series come in afterward. I don't understand why that was an issue, but yeah, I think they need to institute some sort of rule there, because 1:30 in the morning is awful.
Ah, man, I'm like super, because I think in some aspects we do get like the best finishes when it like finishes at 1:30 in the morning. But
the only way you're going to be able to see it is if you go on Twitter or Facebook or
I know.
see like that and see the highlights.
You're
not seeing it live.
I know. That's why I'm so torn. But yeah, I agree.
All right, so we got Mark for the last decade, every 400 has gone later than midnight. Red flag. Yeah, I got a point. But I love this comment. Let's move back to the July race. Call the Firecracker 400. Ranker and Tatum embrace the fans. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. Honestly, they should just do the Firecracker 400 like they do the Southern 500 at Darlington. Just call it like the Firecracker 400 presented by Coke Zero or something like that. So you're still getting the advertisements in, but you're still embracing the tradition of the Firecracker 400.
And well, somebody brought up the fact that they should probably not have Daytona in August. In August. Maybe put Talladega. It's less likely to rain.
No.
And then switch Talladega with Daytona. So you still get that super speedway at the end of the season, but you don't get it rained out. I think that would be a good proposition for NASCAR to look into, in my opinion. I mean, it always rains. It always rains. You're going.
It does, but Florida always rains anyway.
Exactly. So take it to Alabama, and you still get the super speedway.
I mean, okay, but at that point, I mean, even in February it rains in Florida regularly. So what's the point?
You're in Florida in hurricane season. That's the point. We had to wait till 1:30 in the morning to decide the Xfinity series race, and
which
then
is why we put a time limit on there.
And we had to start and stop the Cup Series race like 50 million times. And how many years?
Put a time limit on there.
And how many years have we seen that happen in Daytona? Pretty much every single year.
Yes.
Pretty much every single year.
Yes.
I mean,
honestly, going again, we're like segueing into all these questions perfectly. Because with that said, and going into number 3 of the night, should NASCAR reduce the number of super speedway races after they become a more organized demolition derby? Green flag or red flag, Zach? What do you think?
No, absolutely not. I think that they just need to. I just think they need to better officiate them. I mean, not only that, but it's part of the series. It's part of NASCAR having super speedways. I mean, I do think that they need to get this car, the impacts, the level of the impacts. I think they need to fix it. I think they need to look at it and determine some fixes for it. But no, there's no way. Yeah. Then I don't know. Yeah, I just say no.
NASCAR world is going to probably
Hate you.
get
Please say it.
hate me.
Please say
Pitchforks
green flag.
Pitchforks. You know what? Green flag.
Boo.
I'm. You know what? Okay. Here's my reasoning. Ever since they've initiated stage racing, I mean, look, super speedways have been nothing more than a glorified demolition derby ever since they put on the restrictor plates. Let's be honest here. You put 40 cars next to each other running at 180 miles an hour that basically have a more aerodynamic brick, and tell me that's not a recipe for disaster. You tell me.
I'm just saying. It's been a part of the series.
I understand it's been part of the series. I'm not saying get rid of them completely. Daytona is a staple. Talladega is a staple. I'm saying we don't get rid of them completely. I'm just saying reduce the number of them. Because let's face it, the drivers don't like it. The teams don't like it. The fans, I mean, if something goes wrong in those races, they don't like it. Of course, you saw the rings from Daytona. Granted, it was a rain race, but that was for a regular season cutoff race, and where more than three drivers' playoff lives were in jeopardy going into Daytona and coming out of Daytona, only 2 remain. That should have been like the focal point of the race. But instead, we got rain and NASCAR officiating screw-ups and tore up race cars because of it. So I'm saying green flag. Just have 2 super speed races a year. 3 if you count Atlanta. And there you go. We satisfy all bases. Because let's be honest here. It is boring the first stage. It is boring the second stage. Third stage, it is just mayhem. In which case, everybody gets demolished anyway. I mean, that's my reasoning behind it.
I see your point. I just think that super speedways is part of NASCAR. It's you could argue it's NASCAR's identity almost.
I'm not saying it's not part of NASCAR. I'm not saying it's.
Keep it. Find a way to.
I'll repeat myself. I am not saying we completely get rid. I am not saying this. I am not saying we completely get rid of Daytona. I'm not saying we completely get rid of Talladega. I'm not saying we completely get rid of Atlanta. Well, kind of, not really. Anyway, I'm not saying completely get rid of them. Either get rid of the stages or get rid of super speedways, because in the end, everyone's going to get demolished. Everyone's going to get hurt feelings. Teams are paying hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in damages after winning these races. And for what?
Yeah. Interesting.
And for what?
Interesting
that
insight.
That is all I'm saying.
But you wouldn't get winners like Austin Dillon, would you? Cinderella winners.
Exactly my point. Anyway. I just pissed off so many 3 fans.
Did you say so many 3 fans? Is that what you said?
I did, yeah. And you know one of them. We both know one of them.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, all right, moving on to our last green flag or red flag question. Actually, we segmented back into it. Damn, this is actually working out perfectly here. Last one of the night is we will see a 17th different winner this season. Green flag or red flag, Zach? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, either Truex or Blaney, they have to win a race this season. They have to. I mean, technically, we do have 17 different winners if you count the All-Star race.
Fair, but in the record books, it doesn't count.
I'm just saying.
Kind of stupid.
I'm just saying, if you count the All-Star race, we do have 17 different winners. But officially, I do think that we get to 17 anyway.
Yeah, 17 official, 18 unofficial. Yeah, I got a green flag. This season has just been absolute chaos. I basically have to. God forbid Cody Ware gets revenge at Daytona and wins at Talladega. That will be peak 2022.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Oh, that would be absolutely amazing. It would fill my heart with joy. All right, so now we get to our Darlington picks. First race of the chase. Zach, what do you think? Who are we going with?
Darlington picks. Well, I'm going to go with, as far as my pick, I'm going to say Denny Hamlin because you took both of my picks. Let's see. Denny Hamlin. He has 2 wins. Most recently, not this past year, but last year, 2021. 4 top 5s and 4 top 10s and 5 top 20 finishes. He's led 224 laps, which is 1, 2, 3, 4th best, and since 2019. And yeah, he's done really well. You can't argue that he's done really, really, really well. And I think that he has a little bit of momentum heading into the playoffs. I think the team needs to execute to perfection. We've seen a lot of pit stop mistakes, both by Denny Hamlin and the team and crew, that have really cost him a bunch of wins this season. I do think that if everything comes together for him, I think he gets the win. As far as my Cinderella pick or my dark horse, I am going to go with Austin Dillon, this past week's winner. In 7 races, he has won top 5. Can I?
Yes.
I don't. It's up to you. I still think he's a dark horse, but it's up to you. If you don't think I can pick him as a dark horse,
go ahead. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I'm picking non-winners plus Austin Dillon.
That's a good way to put it.
That's the pool that I'm coming out of, because I think that anyone else,
fluke winners.
To be honest, I think, and this is no shade against Austin Dillon, and I would love for him to prove me wrong, but I do see, he's strong at super speedways, which is great. He does have a good average finish at Darlington, but he has no wins. He only has 1 top 5, but because you picked my pick of Eric Jones, I have to roll with him. He does finish consistently. So I don't know if I see him getting out of the first round, but in any event, I'm going to pick him as my dark horse to potentially win, because even though he has 1 win, it's at a super speedway. I don't necessarily count that as a tried and true win.
No, considering all the field,
considering the circumstances,
was brutalized.
But he gets into the playoffs, so he is in the playoffs. I respect that. I just, in my opinion, anyway.
A win's a win.
That was long and complicated.
Yeah,
he has 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and 7 top 20s. So he's finished inside the top 20 in all 7 races that he's run in since 2019. Yeah, so done pretty well. His best finish of 2nd. So I think he really has a shot potentially. The very worst, he finishes top 10. I would not be disappointed.
Okay. So, for my picks, I gotta go with Mr. Where Did He Come From and Kevin Harvick, because he has the best average finish at Darlington since February of 2019 by a mile. A 3.4 average finish in the last 7 races, 2 wins, 6 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 232 laps led, and average start of 13th. The second highest is Joey Logano with a 9.0. It is not even close.
Can I just add something? He's not finished outside the top 10 since 2012. Back when he was running with Richard Childress Racing.
That is absolutely insane. And his lowest finish in those 7 races, 6th. 6th was his lowest finish. So I'm going with Harvick. For my dark horse.
Definitely not an underdog.
Not an underdog anymore. I'm going to go with Eric Jones. In the last 7 races, 1 win, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, an average finish of 13.3, 12 laps led, best finish of second, which is not bad. Or not, wait. Excuse me, I was looking at Target for a second. My bad. Average finish, best finish of first, low finish of 32nd, but 109 laps led at arguably one of the hardest tracks on the circuit. Yeah, those are my 2 picks. And Eric Jones has been quietly strong the last few weeks. And so I got to go with the 43 of Eric Jones as my dark horse pick. And honestly, watch these 2 picks just wreck out in the first 10 laps because that's
I really hope not. I mean,
I basically cursed Brad Keselowski at Daytona, where he was like out in the first 20 laps.
Same with Ross Chastain, and Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I don't remember if Larson had that same issue at. I'm pretty sure it's the same issue where he had at Talladega, where some guy just didn't get the radiator cover out of his car.
Yeah, did he? Did that happen again?
I don't know, but from what I heard, his engine overheated.
Yeah.
At Daytona, I don't know what, but it was early for that thing to overheat.
Seriously.
I don't know if the same thing happened again or what.
You can't slap tape on there. So I don't know.
Can't. So that's the only excuse I can think of is just that some guy didn't put the radiator cover out again.
Fire.
Yep.
Not good.
All right. So, Zach, I think you had one more thing you wanted to do before we go into the white flag segment.
Did I? You want to remind me?
Our first 4 out.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So we're going to predict the first 4 out of the playoffs after the first round. So let me just go over the races in this round. First, you have Darlington, then you have Kansas, and then you have Bristol night race. Who is your first 4 out? Aaron?
I think my first 4 out has got to be Austin Dillon. He has not shown anything all season besides like a few kind of squirt top 10 appearances at like really late in the race. He has not shown us a whole lot. Bowman still awful. Not sure what the heck's going on with the 48 team, but I don't see them making it past. Cindric, I don't see. Well, yeah, I'll probably say Cindric. I don't see him making it out. And for the last one I don't see making it out, I got to go with possibly Chase Briscoe. Because he has not really shown a whole lot since the dirt race at Bristol. I mean, he's been up there a few times, but not really a whole lot. So I got to go with Chase Briscoe there. I think Suarez is going to make it in.
Interesting. Well, my picks are going to be. Man, let's see. not really good look for him. I would definitely have to go with Austin Dillon. I would have to say Alex Bowman as well. I would have to also say Chase Briscoe as well. And as far as my fourth, I would
Yeah,
have
that fourth one's hard. That fourth one is a little bit hard.
I would have to say Daniel Suarez, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, either him or William Byron. William Byron has also been really awful as of late.
That's true though.
But yeah, I'll stick with those four. I think that's a good, yeah, because when you look at it, points are so close together this year that besides Chase Elliott, points are so close together that, one mistake, one wreck will cost you a lot, right? So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the 14 team has definitely not had good finishes at either Darlington or Bristol, which is unlike Harvick. Harvick has done really well at both those tracks. So it really just makes me think that it's like a driver thing. And then, Austin Dillon, although he has a good average finish at Darlington, he doesn't really have a good average finish at Bristol. Yeah, I'd have to say that that's only one top 10 for him at Bristol in his career. Yeah, I'd definitely have to say that would probably be a good solid Final Four miss.
All right, so you got Dylan, Bowman, Briscoe, and Suarez out in the first one. Okay. All righty, we will see if we're right. I think we pretty much got 3 of the 4 pretty much solidified. At least our first 2.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna make it very far.
I agree,
but
we'll see.
But we will see. We are now on to the white flag lap. Our thoughts and opinions as we exit the studio. Zach, do you have anything you want to say last minute?
Just I send out my prayers and speedy recovery for Tom. Definitely wishing you well, buddy. And yeah, other than that, I'm really excited for the playoffs to start. I'm really excited for this year's playoffs. I think that we're gonna see a lot of parity, and that parity continue into the playoffs. So I am very excited.
Okay. And of course, for my white flag, I also want to send out my thoughts and prayers to our good buddy Tom. May he have a speedy recovery, and back in the studio soon at 100%. But I also want to say that this vacation has been very, very needed, and Daytona, I think, was the cherry on top of this vacation. It was. I've not been to a race in, I think, over a decade. I think 2008 was my last race I went to in person. And it is such a different feel to go to a race. Zach, you know this. You went to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a different feel than just seeing on TV. I mean, you don't really know kind of what's going on during the race as much as you would on TV because you don't have announcers seeing it live and tons of different camera angles, but you get that feeling. You get the excitement. You get kind of like you're just in the moment at the races. And to me, I think that's absolutely worth it.
100%. So I'm glad that you got to be able to do it. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to do it this season more. We'll see. I'm excited.
We'll see. And so, with that said, I think we're going to wrap it up and call this a night. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. One final thing to Tom here. So studio's still fine. It's not burned down yet. Zach and I have behaved ourselves for the most part, so don't worry about that. Again, speed recovery to them, and of course to our audience. Thank you so much for watching tonight, and we will see you next week as we will unfold what the heck comes with Darlington and if NASCAR will learn their lesson finally. We will see you all next week. Have fun and be safe.
Be safe, guys. Thank you.